The girl clearly does not like to learn, but this day it was written off 6 pencils. When the teacher went up to take a look, directly froze. I saw the girl actually wrote on the paper full of dense numbers. The teacher did not care at first, directly took it away, did not expect since this. The girl is like a demon, every day in front of the sun, as if there is something in the heart to say. The teacher did not notice his anomaly at first, but soon after the girl was mysteriously missing. The school called everyone to all corners of the search, and finally found him from the basement of the school. Did not expect the girl actually with their fingers. The day did not write the numbers all engraved on the door. The mouth also kept saying that a person cannot run. Suddenly came 50 years later, a time capsule buried in the school for 50 years was taken out of the ground, which is the school's first batch of students left some things for future students, and the girl's paper full of numbers also fell into the hands of Small Handsome. Because he could not see what the numbers meant, he asked his father, an astronomer, when he got home. Cage had no choice but to study the paper full of numbers, and then he copied a group of numbers randomly and wrote it out, thinking that it was just a group of irregular numbers. But when he turned on the computer to search, it turns out that this set of figures is the 9/11 event that shocked the world, and this set of figures happens to coincide with the date of 9/11 and the death toll. To test his hypothesis, Cage came up with several more sets of numbers to investigate, and found that each set of numbers represented a major disaster, and the death toll of each disaster exactly matched that of the paper. After a series of guesses, he predicted that the next disaster would be the next day, and that the death toll was as high as 81 people. In order to find out whether this is true or not, he sat in front of the TV all night, and as a result, he did not see the news of the disaster. The man saw the longitude and latitude of the car when the traffic jam suddenly froze, so scared that he quickly took out a piece of paper full of numbers to check. The result unexpectedly found, and a group of numbers on the paper perfectly match, which means that here is the exact location of the next disaster. Confused, he slowly walked forward and asked the police if something happened in front of him, but the police said it was just a simple traffic jam, a few minutes. Unexpectedly, before the police finished speaking, they suddenly ran behind him in panic. Cage turned his head and looked completely panicked. He saw a runaway plane hit the ground directly. Cage rushed to save people, but before he could run to the plane, there was a second explosion. When he saw that the death toll on the news was 81, Cage fell into a moment of reflection, because it was exactly the same as the death toll predicted on the paper. Realizing that each set of numbers on the paper is indeed a catastrophe, Cage decides to resolve future catastrophes. So he successfully found the girl teacher who wrote the mysterious number through the investigation. Did not expect the teacher to say that the girl has long died, but he has a daughter. Perhaps his daughter may know something. Soon, Cage follows the address to Mai's house, just in time to catch him out with his daughter. In this way, Cage followed the mother and daughter all the way to the museum, taking the opportunity to go up to him. After a conversation, the two are still talking happily, but when Cage asked about his mother, Xiaomai was angry to get up and want to leave. In desperation, Cage had to come forward to catch Xiaomai, directly told his mother has the ability to predict the disaster, the next disaster time is the next day, and said that there will be many people died afterwards. Mai thinks he must be crazy, just take their daughter and leave. Cage had no choice but to call the police, hoping that the next day the police would seal off the subway station, but the police did not believe him. In desperation, Cage had to sneak into the subway station the next day to try to prevent the disaster, but did not expect that at this time, a subway was derailed, many people on the platform were tragically unfortunate, and the death toll of the disaster happened to coincide with the mysterious number on the paper. Just after Cage went home out of his mind, I did not think that Xiaomai found him with her daughter, and he expressed his willingness to help him prevent the disaster from continuing to happen. Then, Xiaomai took Cage to his mother's hometown to try to find clues. Did not expect to enter the house. Cage found a variety of disasters decades ago newspaper. Cage then opened the bed in the room and began to check, only to find that his mother's last written death number was all of them. Seeing this, Cage is terrified, because all the people he describes may be all of humanity. Just then, the sound of a car horn outside suddenly made him rush out of the room to ask what was going on. Mai's daughter said that a stranger wanted to take them away just now. Looking at the grass not far away as if there was a figure, Cage picked up a pistol and rushed up. Sure enough, you know who was soon stopped by Cage. When the mysterious man slowly turned his head, he suddenly opened his mouth. With a flash of lightning and thunder, Cage's vision suddenly began to freeze, and by the time he had reacted, the mysterious man had disappeared without a trace. Apparently, this mysterious man is not human at all, more like an alien with special powers. 50 years ago, a girl wrote down a series of mysterious numbers in one breath, all kinds of great disasters, only one after another. In order to prevent further disasters, Cage believes that it is necessary to crack the final prophecy on the paper as soon as possible, while his daughter Mai is convinced that her mother may have written it and that the end of the world is absolutely impossible. The next day when he woke up, Cage suddenly saw Mai's daughter kneeling on the ground drawing. Watching him drawing the sun, Cage suddenly remembered something. He rushed to the observatory to check the previous data. The result unexpectedly found that the sun is likely to explode in a few days later. If the sun explodes, then all life on Earth will be destroyed, quite possibly. This is the last prophecy of Little Beauty's mother. In order to prevent the tragedy, Small Beauty proposed to take the children to hide in the bomb shelter as soon as possible. Cage on this matter is also so look. But just as Cage is about to leave, he suddenly finds his son writing mysterious numbers. But at the beginning of the Small Beauty's mother is exactly the same. Angry Cage directly took it away. But the son still did not stop, but also continued to write desperately with his fingers. Fortunately, the son finally woke up and Cage asked his son what he had been doing, but the son said he did not know. Seeing the scratches on the table, Cage hurried to the school where Mai's mother had lived, and it turned out that he was trying to find out what was the rest of the number that Mai's mother had written with her fingers. Small Beauty is very puzzled at this time. He thinks that now must take the children to hide in the bomb shelter as soon as possible. Looking at Cage should be crazy, Small Beauty hurriedly took 2 children to leave for the bomb shelter. Cage soon scraped out the number written on the door panel, but after searching, the coordinates on the number were the location of his mother's hometown. Then, Cage hurried to the hometown of Xiaomei's mother, while the other side of the Xiaomai came to the gas station to fill up. When he was ready to pay to leave, the TV suddenly broadcast the news of letting residents hide at home. When Xiaomai finished reading the news and walked out of the gas station, when the car was suddenly driven away, watching the 2 children away from themselves, Small Beauty ran into a car on the crazy chase. But when he crossed the road, but one did not pay attention to be hit by a big truck, and because of this crash, Small Beauty will completely leave the world. Soon, Cage came to the location of Xiaomai's mother, where he found a car that did not turn off the engine, and when he shouted his son's name, the mysterious man unexpectedly appeared in front of him again. The next second, his son suddenly ran from behind. Did not expect the son said that they are not bad, but to protect us. Just as Cage was puzzled, a luminous object suddenly and slowly fell from the sky, and it was not until this time that Cage realized that the mysterious people were originally aliens. When the son is ready to pull Cage to leave, but is stopped by the mysterious man, the original only selected people can leave, realize that on Earth will eventually die. Cage put his son and Mai's daughter on the ship because as long as the children are alive, he feels happy. Subsequently, the 2 children followed the mysterious man left the Earth and slowly flew into the endless universe. By the time Cage returned to the city, the streets were in chaos, and at this time, people were still looting the streets for supplies. In the face of this scene, Cage did not feel a little sad, but directly drove back to his home, tightly hugged his family, and tightly welcomed the last moment of life. Sure enough, a heat wave soon hit the planet. At the end of the story, the 2 children successfully escaped because they went to another planet. This film tells us that human beings are really fragile in front of nature. Live a good moment, please cherish the people in front of you.